بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد الدرس السابع والعشرون the 27th lesson. This lesson is focusing on the pronouns الضمائر. The author is going to mention the different types of ضمائر and is also going to mention their usages. So before we start reading through the passage, let's explain what we're going to be learning. So we said الضمائر. ضمائر are pronouns, the plural of damir. And the usage of damirs, the reason why we bring damirs is in order to replace and substitute normal nouns. So instead of repeating the noun, we just bring a damir. And this is a way of abbreviating and shortening the speech. And we know the Arabs, they don't like to make their speech long. They like brevity in their speech. So dama'ir pronouns are two types. Dama'ir al-munfasila, the detached pronouns, and al-dama'ir al-muttasila, the attached pronouns, the ones that connect to the end of words. So al-dama'ir al-munfasila, the ones that are detached and disconnected, are subdivided into two. They are subdivided into two. The dama'ir al-raf' and dama'ir al-nasb. Dama'ir al-raf' are those dama'ir, those pronouns which come to substitute marfu' nouns. So we have a marfu' noun, we want to replace it with a damir, we use dama'ir raf'. And dama'ir al-nasb are those dama'ir which come to substitute mansub nouns. Here we're going to learn that there's 12, and here likewise there's 12. These ones we're familiar with, but lesson 27 focuses on these ones. This is the main focus of lesson 27. Okay, so dama'ir al-raf', there's 12 in total. They are هو هما هم هي هما هن أنت أنتما أنتم أنتي أنتما أنتن أنا نحن. These ones we should be familiar with. We've said there's 12 minusing any repetitions. So huma is repeated twice, antuma is repeated twice, nahnu is repeated twice. If we count the dama'ir without repetitions, we have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 dama'ir al-raf'. And likewise the same with dama'ir al-nasb, there's 12 if you minus repetitions. So we have إياه إياهما إياهم إياها إياهما إياهن إياك إياكما إياكم إياكي إياكما إياكن إيايا إيانا إيانا. So it's exactly the same as these ones, and they refer to exactly the same thing, except that these ones come to replace those nouns which are marfu', and these ones come to replace nouns which are mansub. So we know all of the dama'ir are mabni, all of the dama'ir are fixed, but they do have a place in i'rab. So when we do the i'rab and analyze them, we say for these ones, we'd say fi mahalli raf'. It's come to replace and stand in the place of a noun which is marfu'. And this marfu' noun could be mubtada', it could be khabar, it could be fa'il, it could be naib fa'il, it could be a tabi' ma'tuf to a marfu', and so on. Various things. These are some of the main ones. And these ones will come to replace a noun which is mansub. So it's a fi mahalli nasb. It might come fi mahalli nasb maf'ulun bihi, and this is the most common i'rab for these ones. Fi mahalli nasb maf'ulun bihi. Or fi mahalli nasb tabi' of a mansub. So it might be ma'tuf to something which is mansub, and so on, and it might have other i'rab, but the one that we're going to be focusing on mostly is maf'ulun bi and tabi'. It's ma'tuf to something which is mansub. So these are the dama'ir al-munfasila. There's two types. As for dama'ir al-muttasila, the ones which are connected, then they are also categorized into two types. They are categorized into two types. We have dama'ir al-raf', those which come and they are attached, but they are replacing something which is marfu'. And there's those which come attached, replacing something which is mansub or majur. We place these two on the same side because they have the same forms. These are the same ones which can be used for dama'ir nasb, and they can also be used for dama'ir al-jar. So these ones usually come in the place of fi mahalli raf' fa'il. They stand in the place of fa'il, or fi mahalli raf' ismu kana, for example. Kuntu maridan. Where's ismu kana? The ta. في محل رفع اسم كان. طيب, so they are as follows. There's 12. I've written 12 generally, although these ones, they don't have a form because they're hidden. So we'll use ذهب for example. ذهب, where's the fa'il? The fa'il is huwa. Huwa is hidden. This is hidden. ذهب alif. ذهبوا the waw. ذهبت, it's hidden. It's here in this case. How do we know it's here? Because this ta, at-ta'nith sakina, helps us to identify that hidden dhamir. That's what differentiates this from this one, because of this ta. This ta helps us to identify that the hidden dhamir here is here. And if we don't see a ta, we know that the hidden dhamir is huwa. So in these two cases, it's hidden. And then here we have alif, the same thing. So ذهبتا, we're adding the alif onto the ta. ذهبتا, ذهبنا, ذهبتا, تما, tum, ti, tuma, tunna, ذهبتو, ذهبنا, ذهبنا. These are dhama'ir raf. They come in the place of fa'il. They represent the fa'il or ismu kana. Dhama'ir al-nasb and also dhama'ir al-jar, they come, if it's fi mahali nasb, if it's the nasb ones we're talking about, then they will come in the place of ismu inna, for example. If we say innahu maridun, we say inna harfu nasbin wa tawkidin. The hu is fi mahali nasb, ismu inna. Maridun khabaru inna. طيب. And it can also come as maf'ulun bihi. ضربته, I hit him, maf'ulun bihi. طيب, let's use ضربه. ضربه, ضربهما, ضربهم, ضربها, ضربهما, ضربهن, ضربك, ضربكما, ضربكم, ضربك, ضربكما, ضربكن, ضرب. Here, if ya is attaching to a fi'l, we have to add the noon, al-wiqaya. ضربني, we say. ضربنا, ضربنا. And if it was attached to inna, we say innahu, innahuma to the end. Innani, innana. And it's also fi mahalli jar, and it's also used in the place of a majrur noun. It replaces a majrur noun. And the majrur noun that it replaces is of two types. Either it's ism majrur if it's replacing the word after the harf jar. So if we had, for example, an Muhammadin, instead of Muhammad we can say anhu. If it was an Muhammadin wa Zaydin, we say anhuma. If it was an Muhammadin wa Zaydin wa Amrin wa Abbasin, we say anhum. If it was an Aisha, we say anha, radiyallahu anha. So this replaces the ism majrur. And in this case, we say fi mahalli jar ism majrur. So if we was to practice anhu, anhuma, anhum, anha, anhuma, anhunna, anka, ankuma, ankum, anki, ankuma, ankunna, anni, anna. Likewise, if we want to replace a mudaf ilayhi, a noun that's mudaf ilayhi, we say baytu Muhammadin, or baytu Aishata, or baytu rajulaini. We use these ones. So instead of baytu Muhammad, we say baytuhu, baytuhuma, baytuhum, baytuha, and so on. So we know if these attach to nouns, it gives us mudaf ilayhi automatically. The i'rab is fi mahalli jar mudaf ilayhi. So these nouns can be fi mahalli nasb, depending on what it's attached to. If it's attached to inna, for example, then you know it's fi mahalli nasb. If it's attached to a fi'l, you know it's fi mahalli nasb maf'ulun bi. But if it's attached to harf jar or a noun, then you know immediately that this is fi mahalli jar. So bear this in mind. This is not the focus. The focus is this one. In lesson 27, the focus is in this one. So let's focus on this one. So we're saying these, they come as fi mahalli nasb maf'ulun bihi. And one of the main differences between munfasil and muttasil is that munfasil stands alone. It's not attached. And usually it comes at the beginning of the sentence. Usually comes at the beginning of the sentence. And if it doesn't come at the beginning of the sentence, it comes towards the middle or the end of the sentence, then it stands on its own. Whereas these ones, they never come at the beginning of the sentence. It's not possible for these to come at the start of the sentence. It's always attached to something. It's always attached to something. So it will never come at the beginning of the sentence. طيب. So examples of it coming as maf'ulun bihi, iyyaka na'budu. So iyyaka, we say this is ضمير منفصل مبني على الفتح في محل نصب مفعول به مقدم. نعبد is فعل مضارع. عبد يعبد is a fi'l which is transitive. It requires a maf'ulun bihi. Where is the maf'ulun bihi? There's no maf'ulun bihi. Here it's brought forward. You're allowed to say iyyaka na'budu and you're allowed to say na'buduka. If you say na'buduka in this instance, then you're not allowed to say na'budu iyyaka. It's wrong to say na'budu iyyaka. The reason why it's wrong to say na'budu iyyaka is because whenever you have the option to use a dhamir muttasil, you can't go on to using a dhamir munfasil if you have the option to use a dhamir muttasil. Because what's the point of using dhamirs? The whole point of using damirs is for shortening the speech, for brevity. So why would you leave something which is shorter for something which is longer? Surely that defeats the purpose, which is why you have to use this. So na'buduka, we worship you. And this is the original setup, that the fi'l comes, then we have a fa'il, then we have maf'ulun bihi. Fi'l, fa'il, maf'ulun bihi. That's the original setup. However, sometimes the speaker may want to limit and restrict his statement. Na'buduka means we worship you, but it's not restricted. It's possible that we worship someone else, other things. The confinement is not there. But when you say iyyaka na'budu, when you bring the maf'ulun bihi to the start, and if you do so, you have to change it into the munfasil version. You can't say ka na'budu. That's not possible. As we just explained, we said these ones usually come at the start and they are used separately. You can't use these at the start. So if you're gonna bring this to the start, you have to use iyyaka. Has it changed the meaning? Yes, it's changed the meaning now. The meaning is restricted, it's limited. It means we only worship you. You alone we worship. So this and this, they are slightly different in meaning. And see how the change in meaning was because of the repositioning of the sentence, repositioning of the maf'ulun bihi. If you bring forward something that's meant to be delayed, it has this change in meaning. It causes it to be limited and restricted. So, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, you alone we worship. Another example which is similar to that, we have, let me give you the original sentence that we're familiar with. عَالَجَنِي الطَّبِيبُ, the doctor treated me. عَالَجَ is to treat. This is a fi'l which is transitive. So, عَالَجَ, ni, the ya is maf'ulun bihi. The nun is nun al-wiqaya. عَالَجَنِي, this is the fa'il. So in this type of setup, we're not allowed to say عَالَجَ إِيَّايَ الطَّبِيبُ. It's not right to say that, because we are able to use the ya. If you're able to use a muttasil version, you have to use a muttasil version. You can't use a munfasil version. Okay. However, the speaker now wants to give the meaning of I was the only one who the doctor treated. In this case, I would need to bring the maf'ulun bihi to the front. And if I do so, I have to change it to the munfasil version, which is iyaya. So if I say iyaya عالج الطبيب, me alone the doctor treated. And I was the only one the doctor treated. So what's the i'rab of iyaya? We say iyaya ضمير منفصل مبني على الفتح في محل نصب مفعول مقدم. عالج فعل ماضي الطبيب فاعل. The other example that we should be familiar with, إياك والكسل. We mentioned this is from the أسلوب التحذير, cautioning someone, warning someone. إياك والكسل, beware of laziness. إياك هي, this is ضمير منفصل مبني على الفتح في محل نصب مفعول به مقدم. This is also مفعول به. Where is the فعل for which this is مفعول به? There is no فعل here mentioned. This is مفعول به لفعل محذوف تقديره أحذره. طيب, just wanted to mention that as well. And also إنني وإياهم. So sometimes the ضمير منفصل comes في محل نصب معطوف to something which is mansub. So we said here تابع لمنسوب. In this case it's تابع. It's coming as تابع for something which is mansub. So إنني, إن حرف نصب وتوكيد. The noon is a حرف نون الوقاية. Let's ignore that. This ya now, ya is ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل نصب. في محل نصب اسم إن. It's coming as اسم إن. واو حرف عطف. إياهم now, this is a ضمير منفصل مبني على السكون في محل نصب معطوف. معطوف على منسوب is also going to be منسوب. So notice how we're using this one, not this one, because we want to represent something which is mansub. So this is another form of iyahum, another usage of iyahum. It comes as a ma'tuf to something which is mansub. Another example, يخرجون الرسول وإياكم. They expel the messenger and you. So we're doing ma'tuf something mansub. We use the munfasil version, the mansub version. Another example that's going to come in the passage is مساعدتك إيايا. مساعدتك إيايا. Now this contains a rule that we have not explained before, and that is مساعدة, we know, is a masdar. So the author is going to teach us that masdars, they also function in the same way that the fi'l functions. If the masdar is coming as a masdar for a verb that's transitive, it's going to have a fa'il and it's going to have a maf'ulun bihi. This is something new. Masdars can function the same way that the fi'l functions. If it's transitive, it's transitive. If it's not transitive, it's not transitive. So in this case, this is transitive. So here this is coming as maf'ulun bihi for this. One of the ways where we know that the masdar is having a function and it's functioning like its fi'l is if it's mudaf, and it's usually going to be mudaf to the fa'il. Musa'adatuka, you were the fa'il. Sa'adta, musa'adatuka. So this is like the reverse version of an tusa'ida. The reversing, we've started from the end result and going backwards. So musa'ada was the result. If we went back, it would have given us an tusa'ida. An tusa'idani. Musa'adatuka iyaya is basically what you have now. So iyaya here is fi mahalli nasbin maf'ulun bihi for the masdar musa'ada. This is something that we're going to learn. When does the masdar function like its fi'l? If it's mudaf, and it's usually going to be mudaf to its fa'il. And then the other time we see iya is if it comes after illa. And likewise with the marfu' version, they also come after illa. But here in this case it's coming as maf'ulun bi. La na'budu illa iya. We only worship him. We worship none other than him. So this is also another way of restricting and limiting a statement, to have negation and to have a exception, make an exception. So la na'budu, we do not worship except iyahu, except him. So after illa, you're not going to use damir muttasil ever. You're always going to use damir munfasil, the detached ones. Either if the noun that's coming here is fi mahal raf, you use these ones. If the noun that's coming here is fi mahal nasb, you use these ones. So here I'm using this one because this is the maf'ulun bihi. We do not worship illa iya, except him. So this is basically what we're going to be learning, inshallah. And the author is going to be explaining this in a slightly different way. But I feel that this is an easier way. Dama'ir, munfasil, muttasil. Munfasil are two types. Dama'ir raf, dama'ir al-nasb. These ones come to replace marfu' nouns. These ones come to replace mansub nouns. And then we have muttasil versions. These ones are connected. And there are two types, generally speaking. Dama'ir raf, dama'ir al-nasb, or al-jar. These ones, you can subdivide them into two. I've just made it easier by mentioning them together, but the end result is one. These ones come to replace nouns which are marfu'. These ones come to replace nouns which are either mansub or majroor. Okay, then we started speaking about these ones in more detail and explaining some of its usages. Main usage being that it comes to show something is maf'ulun bi. The final thing that we want to speak about is this concept here. This concept is where we have a verb that is muta'addi, transitive to two maf'ul. So it has maf'ul 1, maf'ul 2. So if I give an example, so أعطى محمد زيدا قلما, for example. So this is fa'il, this is maf'ul awwal, maf'ul thani. What if I want to represent this, this, and this all as damirs? If I want to represent all of these as damirs, then this is fa'il, right? I want to make it muttasil. If I make it muttasil, then I have to use which ones? These ones or these ones? I have to use these ones. It's either going to be a'ta. If I'm going to hide it, I don't need to mention anything. A'taya, a'taw, a'tat, a'tata, a'tayna, a'tayta, a'taytum, a'taytum, a'taytu, and so on. So we use those ones. Maf'ulun awwal and maf'ulun thani, I would use these ones. But here now, before using these ones and attaching both, I need to take into consideration the rutab of the dama'ir. The dama'ir, as you can see here, I've arranged them into three categories. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that is because the dama'ir are different levels. So we have the first level is dama'ir al-ghaybah. These are the third person. Dama'ir al-khitab, the second person. Dama'ir al-takallum are the first person. So we know all of the dama'ir are definite. The dama'ir are from the ma'arif. They are all definite. But they vary in their level of being definite. The most definite of the dama'ir are the ones that are referring to yourself, first person. This is most definite. Second most definite. And the least definite is the dama'ir al-ghaybah. So if we was to arrange it according to how definite they are, we say dama'ir al-takallum, the first person pronouns are most definite. Then dama'ir al-khitab, second person pronouns are second. And then al-ghaybah, third person, are the least definite, or level number 3. So what we're saying here, we're saying with these two, If you want to attach both of them at the same time, then you have to consider the rutab of the dhama'ir. Why is this? Okay, the reason why this is because إذا اجتمع ضميران عاملهما واحد. If two dhamirs come and the amil, the word that's affecting them is the same, so this is the amil, this is the same word that's affecting this and affecting this, causing this to become maf'ulun bi and this one to become maf'ulun bi. وأولهما أعرف من الثاني. And the first one is more definite than the second one. جاز الفصل والوصل. You're allowed to do fasl, which is to disconnect, as in attach the first one and detach the second one. Or you can do wasl, you can attach both of them to the fi'l. You have two options. When is this two options applicable? If they have the same amil and the first one is more definite than the second one. So we have the first one comes on this level and the second one comes on this level. Or the first one comes on this level and the second one comes on this level. And this one is more definite than this one. Okay, look at the examples, yeah? أعطيتك إياه. So ka is khitab, speaking to the person. And إياه is غيبة. So here you're allowed to say fasl. This is fasl. I gave you it. I gave you it. I can also say أعطيتكه. I gave you it. Same meaning. But here is fasl and here is wasl. Here is disconnected. So the first maf'ul is attached, the second is not attached. It's a munfasil version. But here both of them are connected. That's the first maf'ul, that's the second maf'ul. Another example, أعطيتني إياه. So أعطيتني is takallum أنا. إياه is this. So this one's more definite than this one. So I can say أعطيتني إياه, detaching, or I can say أعطيتنيه, you gave me it, where it's attached. Okay, that's if the first one is more definite than the other one. What if the second one is more definite than the first one? Look at the final point. وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ أَعْرَفْ مِنَ الثَّانِ وَجَبَ الْفَصْلِ. If this one is more definite than this one, and the opposite, then you have to use fasl. It's not optional now. You have to use fasl. What's fasl? You have to make this one detached. So for example, أعطاه إياك. So أعطاه is huwa, إياك is khitab. So I can't attach it. I can't say أعطاهك. I can't say أعطاهك. That's not an option. I have to say أعطاه إياك. Likewise, أعطاه إياي. أعطاه إياي. Or أعطاك إياي. أعطاك إياي. Any way round you want to do it, these are just examples. So if the second one is more definite than the first, then you have to detach. You can't attach. Okay, what if they were both on the same level? They said وَإِذَا اتَّحَدَا فِي الرُّتْبَةِ وَجَبَ الْفَصْلُ. Likewise, if they are on the same level, both dhamirs are coming on the same level, either takallum, both are takallum, or khitab, or ghaiba, then you have to detach. So أعطيتك إياك. Ka. أعطيته إياه. So we have to detach. The only time where you have the option to attach is if the first one is more definite than the second one. So bear this in mind. These are some of the rules that are going to be coming in the lesson, inshallah. We'll go over the passage next lesson, inshallah. We'll stop here. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.